It was a wonderful era, 1925. The First World War was over. Troops were trading uniforms for 2475 suits and 1950 wool topcoats. Memory Lane, My Buddy, and It Had to Be You were the romantic songs of the day. And the Charleston was the latest dance craze. Depression was merely a word in the dictionary. Walden Thompson, an enterprising Owen Sound hardware merchant, believed something was missing. He called together a small group of noted Owen Sound citizens to meet with Dr. Bill Lewis, George Hubbard, and Frank Livingston, all Barry Kiwanians. Sold on the idea of a Kiwanis club, the original applicants worked in pairs to solicit potential members, and within 2 weeks had more than the required 50. Prospective Kiwanians and their wives held an organizational meeting and front-page newspaper headlines on April 25, where Kiwanis Club of Owen Sound is now practically assured. On Charter Night, July 16, 1925, there was a parade to Knox United Church, with the Barry Club and the Barry Kiwanis Boys Band in attendance. At the banquet, District Governor Blake Halliday presented the charter. Among the charter members were Walden Thompson and Dave Christie, both Owen Sound mayors. Clubs then totaled between 30 and 40, and now total 298, 213 in Canada and 85 in the Caribbean. Throughout most of the club's 70-year history, the emphasis has been on the health and welfare of young people. Hundreds of cases received medical and surgical attention through club efforts, long before the introduction of provincial medical and hospital insurance. From learn-to-swim programs to sponsorship of softball and hockey teams, from building a scout cabin at Big Bay to sponsoring a high school potato club in conjunction with the Fall Fair, they were busy Kiwanis years. It was in 1931 that the club decided to undertake a conservation project to keep the sand from drifting across the road as cars approached Hepworth from the east. Under an arrangement with the county, the club planted pines and poplars on the south side of the road, and the plan worked. Ultimately, the club purchased 75 acres on the north side of the road and planted spruce and pine trees with the assistance of OSCVI students. Members did summer pruning when trees were large enough. Eventually, Scotch pine replaced the other species, and the trees were sold at Christmas as a fundraiser for the club. Although the trees are now pruned professionally, the Christmas tree project is still ongoing.
We market anywhere between 800 and 1,000 trees every year. This is done, we market them and have the sales lot up at the West Hill Secondary School.
Kiwanis minstrel shows and travelogues, former fundraisers for the club, are now history, and other projects and social events have successfully replaced them. These have included a children's Christmas party following the Santa Claus parade, a Christmas fellowship for members and spouses, an annual corn roast, and this year, a horse-drawn sleigh load with hot chocolate served in the sugar bush. Farmers' Night was begun in the 1940s and is ongoing to the present. It provides an opportunity for Kiwanians to have an evening of fellowship with the rural community over dinner with the featured speaker. Credit for this annual evening and also an annual get-together with County Council is given to the late T. Stewart Cooper, Grey County Agricultural Representative and a Kiwanis President in 1941, and to Jim Sibbald for his keen rural interest when he was Chairman of Agriculture and Conservation. 5 decades ago, Santa Claus made a pre-Christmas visit to Owen Sound when Ada Mae Brown, wife of the late J. Irvin Brown, a dedicated Kiwanian, came up with the idea of the Toronto Santa Claus Parade. Mrs. Brown was aware of the number of projects that generated money locally for Kiwanis and believed the parade was a way of giving back to the community.
Never thought it would ever last for 50 years. But it just shows you it's getting bigger and better every year through the dedication of the Kiwanis members.
This year will mark the 50th Santa Claus Parade, sponsored by the Owen Sound Kiwanis Club, and hope still burns brightly in the hearts of children, every age, as he makes his annual pilgrimage from the North Pole and distributes candy bags to an ever-growing lineup of children following the parade. The Kiwanis radio auction was introduced in 1949 as a major fundraiser and is still ongoing as a 2-night television auction preceded by an evening of advanced bidding. This mammoth project provides an opportunity for community and club participation. This year's April TV auction raised close to $19,000 and exceeded by more than $6,000 any previous auction in its 47-year history. It was in 1960 that the Owen Sound Club sponsored the formation of the Kiwanis Club of Scenic City. Though that club is no more, this year marks the 5th anniversary of the Golden K Club, and there was strong support for it from the Owen Sound Kiwanis Club. Although the club has survived some difficult times, including a depression and Second World War, it has always remained active. Membership currently is 73, with 7 new Kiwanians having joined this year. Generally, job transfers and pressures in a highly mobile society contribute to membership loss.
For the good of the community, I saw that this service club was doing a lot at that time, and I felt that not only could I benefit, but that I could also help out in the community by joining that club.
I was the youngest Kiwanis president, and at first it was a little scary. I thought, will I be able to handle this job and do it properly? And it didn't turn out to be a problem at all. I had a lot of wonderful help, and it was great. I had a lot of fun.
At the 50th anniversary of the club, Percy Leslie and Lyle Ireland were active charter members. Both are deceased. Among the Kiwanians with the longest current years of membership are W.M. Prudhomme, president in 1945, who was 55 years with the club, Louis McGill, 47 years a Kiwanian, Howard Hyman, 45 years, Elwood Moore, 35 years, Joe Vaughn, 34 years, and Jim McKay, Tom Vincent, Ross Howe, and Red Leckie, each with more than 25 years. Collectively, that represents well over 300 years of service to Kiwanis and community.
One thing that stands out in my mind, once they had the international ploughing match out at Norm Barber's farm just outside of the city, and the Kiwanis Club agreed to man the gates, and that goes on for a whole week. And we had a lot of fun doing that, and we raised a lot of money too. And another thing, we used to work the fall fair. We'd handle the gates for the fall fair, and the horse races that they had up there, we used to do that too. And then a lot of good memories of what we did out at Whispering Pines camp. I know that back in those early days, we had no money. We did all the work ourselves, with the exception when we needed a professional. If we were put in new lights, we'd dig the trenches.
As a 50th anniversary project, the club pledged $25,000 for a 25-year period toward a social center as part of a new senior citizens apartment complex. At the suggestion of the Ontario Housing Corporation, the building was designated the Kiwanis Apartments and remains as such to the present. For many years, the club has supported the Grey County Festival of Music. When new sponsorship was sought in 1969, the Kiwanis clubs of Owen Sound and Scenic City became those sponsors. The Grey County Festival of Music is still ongoing and growing, with Owen Sound and Meaford Kiwanis clubs sponsoring. This year, entries exceeded 1,280 with more than 5,840 participants. In 1972, the club decided to develop a recreational campground on the 75 acres of land purchased in 1946 for $900. The property at the eastern entrance to Hepworth now had the original pine plantings, which had reached majestic heights, and offered shade to the original 75 sites, each 50 by 100 feet. The camp was named Whispering Pines and now boasts in excess of 239 sites, a walking trail, playground, tuck shop, laundry, showers, and a building for storage and repairs.
Yeah, the property was bought by 4 Kiwanians for $900. The Kiwanis themselves would not purchase the property, so they bought it, and then in turn kept it a year or two, and then turned it back to the club for the money. They reimbursed them for the money.
The Captain George Heinemann swimming pool with filtered, heated water has been operational since 1974. This year, $32,000 is to be spent updating the wading pool for children.
Yes, we're standing here looking at a cairn, and thanks to this man and his family, we were going to build a pool. The money we had for a pool was 20 by 40, And having enough far sight, I didn't think that it was big enough, and I thought we should have a 30 by 60, but we didn't have enough money to buy it. And this family of Howard Hyman, Captain George Hyman, and Howard and the family gave us a generous donation, which made us available for us to build the 30 by 60 pool, which has been a godsend.
It was in 1980, during Arnold Kuhl's presidency, that the club pledged $50,000 over 5 years toward the construction of the Grey Bruce Regional Health Center. And it was during Rusty Barham's presidency the financial commitment was presented. The hospital opened in 1986.
The time was coming along to build the hospital, and the suggestion came forward from one of the members that before the campaign started, we should be the leaders and make a pledge to the foundation, to the building project. We did this by way of a $50,000 pledge, which was put away at $10,000 a year for 5 years and paid over then later.
A happy occasion, and we are all very proud of the building of the hospital which has come up, and it's well used, well kept. We are all very proud of it.
Since 1986, Kiwanis bicycle rodeos have been held annually at 4 different elementary schools. The rodeos teach the children the importance of bicycle safety and maintenance, and the club provides helmets as needed. On occasion, recipients have been head injury patients who have been hospitalized. It was in June of 1985 that international trustee, the late Ray Allen, was elected international vice president of Kiwanis. It was one of several distinguished honors for the Owen Sound Club. International Vice President Ray Allen was an inspiration to all Kiwanians and lives on in the memories of all who knew him. His name is inscribed on the Kiwanis International Foundation Tablet of Honor. His widow, Marge Allen, has upheld her interest in the life and work of Kiwanis. Highlights of 70 years can't be capsuled in a few brief moments. The club donated $6,000 to the starving children of Ethiopia. We purchased the Jaws of Life to help free critically injured accident victims. We've contributed $2,500 annually, the total cost of the CPR, coronary pulmonary resuscitation training, also a life-saving program with far-reaching results. We've purchased bed kits for sleeping children around the world. Past President Red Leckie received the Fred McAllister Award for outstanding leadership in fundraising for the Adult Rehabilitation Center, now the Community Living Building. The club participates annually in the Camp Quality Program, a summer camp for children with cancer. For the 2nd consecutive year, we have provided child safety kits to new mothers before their departure from hospital.
This is something now, I'm the chairman of a group that helps little children, Priority 1 it's called. And we came up with a safety kit, which is given by the health unit and the Grey Bruce Children's Services to expectant mothers.
This year, our club has proudly pledged $25,000 over 5 years to iodine deficiency disorder. This money will purchase machines to iodize salt for people in countries where it is deficient, thus reducing such health problems as goiter and mental retardation. In the pre-Christmas season, for the first time ever, we took residential seniors by car and bus to the Hepworth Tree Farm, where they toured the facility and selected their tree of choice for their residence. We are hoping this will be an expanded outing next year, concluding with Christmas refreshments and a carol sing-along. The real strength of an organization is measured in testing times, as well as good times. When Kiwanis International voted to admit women into Kiwanis membership, it was a divisive issue.
I chose Kiwanis because I believe in the idea of helping children in our community. They're our most important resource. To be honest, I can't think of a thing that I would want to change about the Kiwanis Club.
According to one president, one of the greatest accomplishments between 1988 and 1991 is that the club survived. Many long-standing members were lost, and they are still missed. A healing and renewal process has been ongoing, and the strength and integrity of the Owen Sound Club has been maintained. The women Kiwanians have made an outstanding contribution to the life and work of Kiwanis.
About being a pioneer woman in the Kiwanis Club, it's wonderful. I've been welcomed. They make me feel a part of the group. We're certainly not, they never put us aside, and they make us feel that they're one of them.
As a president during those testing years said, I was and still am impressed with the resilience and strength exhibited by the Kiwanis Club of Owen Sound. My one caution would be that we would never allow ourselves to take those characteristics for granted. One can't put into words the strength and unity that is Kiwanis. No individual can capsule the impact of our organization on the fiber of this community and the lives of its people. One can only marvel that, shoulder to shoulder, men and women have worked together as they travel the road that was hewn by the good works of those who went before us.
Why we're involved in the community? Because Owen Sound's been good to the Hyndman family, so I know my father and I believe that you give something back when the community's good to you.
If we, as Kiwanians, live up to our motto, we build, and reflect regularly on our objectives to give, to encourage, to promote, to develop, to provide, and to cooperate, then righteousness, justice, patriotism, goodwill, and Kiwanis will live on forever in the hearts and minds of people who care.
Let this parting green leave on. Remember that the best of friends must part, must part. Adieu, adieu, grand friends, adieu, I'll get by you. I can no longer stay with you, I'll hang my heart on the whipping willow tree, and may the world go well with you.
I think this particular club has some special things. Like there just seems to be a particular flavor to this club, especially the fine sessions. There are a few people in the club who just seem to be able to get something going, and then it just sort of catches fire, and it goes around the club and through the club, generating a lot of fun and a lot of laughter. Good working group and a lot of camaraderie, and I think they're just a great service club which has a tremendous tradition and history in this community.